Hey guys, I'm excited to come at you today with the announcement for the second annual Autumn Hey Reader-Athon. So if you haven't been here before, you've never heard of Hey Reader, it is a website I got my husband to build for me. Yes, he's amazing. It is a TBR generator website, and I generally use it once a month to kind of help me with my TBR. And so I just kind of like run this readathon over on that website for the week that it is live. So all you have to do is follow the link below to the website, join the readathon, and then input the books that fulfill the prompts that I'm going to be sharing here right away. So I figured we would do 1 week long readathon, and we're going to do 4 different prompts. And honestly, I think it's so much better if a readathon has a giveaway, because I like to give away books. Sometimes I wonder if I have like thick enough skin for YouTube, because you know how it is. You can have like 100 nice comments, but then you get that like one kind of snarky, mean comment, and then you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Some time ago, someone kind of like accused me of doing giveaways to get subscribers, which, I mean, is totally fine if you do. But personally, I like to do giveaways because I like to give away my favorite books to people so that more people can read them. And that is the point to this. I like to reward the subscribers I have, not necessarily gain more subscribers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be giving away one of my books from my autumn recommendations video that I posted recently. And so all you have to do is join the readathon, fill in the books that you are going to be using for these prompts, and then at the end of the readathon I will announce the winner. So here's the thing though, I forgot to pick the dates for the readathon. I have it like loosely in my head, so let's just see here. What is the official dates? This readathon will be running from, I think, a Monday to a Sunday. That way we can end it off like on a weekend, so if you kind of need to fit in more reading right at the end, that generally works better for people. So we are going to be starting it on Monday, October 18th, and I think any time works. If you want to start at midnight, that's fine. If you want to start when you wake up, I'm loose with those kind of rules. So Monday, October 18th until the end of the day on Sunday, October 24th, whatever that means to you. If you want to read until like 3 a.m. of the 25th, I don't really care. So I've got 4 prompts, and then I have generally 2 recommendations that I've read that fit those prompts, and then 2 books that I might read for those prompts. I'm going to be picking my October TBR really soon. I already know it's probably going to be the largest TBR I've ever picked because there's so many books I want to read in October. So I'm not deciding right now which books I'm going to be reading that week because things might change. I might want to read some of these early. Yeah, so we'll get into the prompts. I'll share some recommendations and what I might be reading. Okay, the first prompt is to read an epistolary novel. So that is a book written in letters. I was gonna say verse. A book written in letters. And I have 2 recommendations, kind of. I already cheated a little bit on this. You can take this and tweak it. I am not going to police this really. But one of my recommendations, I think this is all written in letters. It's been a few years since I read it. Yes, it is The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. This is a World War II story about a group of, like a fiction story about a group of, I don't know, I guess townsfolk that started meeting and kind of bringing some like black market food, but they kind of almost got caught, so they said they were doing a book club, and then the book club started and just continued. And what I like is the book club, they didn't read the same book. They each came each month and were like, here's a book that I really enjoyed, and I would really like to be part of a book club like that. So yeah, so this book is a recommendation. This one is kind of a bit of a cheat because it's not letters, but it kind of is. This girl writes to her diary, and that is the Diary of Anne Frank. What is the actual... There's a different title. A Diary of a Young Girl, I think, is the original title. And she writes to her journal, who she calls Kitty. And these are, like, this is a true story of Anne Frank, who was a Jew during World War II. Apparently these are both World War II books so far. I don't even read that much historical books, but she was hidden, and yeah, this is kind of like her story. I think it starts in, what year does it even start in? I haven't actually read the full thing since I was in school, I think. It looks like it starts on Sunday, June 14th, 1942, and goes for like over 2 years. So there's that one. And then one of the books that I might read for this is Dracula. When I shared this on my autumn TBR, I hadn't realized prior to that this is actually written in letters. So that really intrigues me. I've never read Dracula, know really not much about it other than like the very overarching idea. So that is on my list for this this fall. And I didn't have another one for this category. I might, actually, I think I had watched Ariel Bassett's, one of her recent videos, last night, and she talked about a book that she has. I think that's Letters that L.M. Montgomery wrote. So I'm gonna see if I can get that from the library, because that would also be an intriguing one to me. So that's kind of like another option for me. And then the next prompt that I'm going to be having is a short story. So you could read like a single short story. You could read a bind up of short stories. Once again, I'm not going to be placing this. I don't really care what you do. Take this as you want. Okay, so I have a couple suggestions and things I want to be reading. So they're all actually ones that I've read at least bits of. So this is Shirley Jackson's The Lottery and Other Stories. I generally talk about this quite a bit in autumn. I read The Lottery in high school and it has stuck with me. Her stories, I think all, maybe not all, but like a lot of them have like gothic horror vibes, which is not my thing, but it really is when it comes to her writing. So yeah, I have read a number of her short stories, want to read more this year. Another short story collection that this one I started this year is Father Brown, The Essential Tales. This is a clergyman who is really good at solving crimes randomly. I guess he knows a lot about criminals and crimes because people go to him for confession. So he knows all the things and yeah, ends up kind of being able to solve them really easily, kind of like Miss Marple. So I've read a couple of these and am continuing to read that. Now this one is maybe not an autumn vibes thing. I haven't read this since university. This was one of my required readings for university and I'm kind of trying to like reread some of them because I don't like being told I have to read books. I generally like them less if I am told I have to read them. But this is called Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town and this edition is really cool. It's very illustrated. There's like multiple pages of just, I don't know, illustrations. And then I think, now, when was I in university that I was reading this? This would have been 2007. So it's been a few years since I read this. I'm not sure. I think these are all the townsfolk. And it's got like little portraits. I think this is the coolest thing ever. Anyway, so what Sunshine Sketches of, oh sorry, I keep saying little town, small town. It's Little Town. This is a bit of an exaggeration on small town living. So there's different from what I remember, there's different things that happen, but then what is written is kind of the exaggerations that the townsfolk go and take, you know, like your small town, gossip starts and things start getting bigger. Yeah, so I remember like one chapter or a short story or whatever it is there's a bank robbery, and by the time everyone else kind of gets to talk about it, it's a much bigger thing than it really was. The next one I have here is Tales of Mystery and Imagination. This is by Edgar Allan Poe. I have so far only read one of these. I read The Gold Bug about a week ago, and it was not exactly what I was expecting. So I would like to read more of his short stories to see what they're actually like. That one it felt a lot like C.S. Lewis, the way he wrote Out of the Silent Planet, but I don't know if that's normal for his stories or not, so that is what I have for short stories. Next up I have a classic, because I feel like the autumn is a great time to read classics. Says the girl that tries classics and doesn't like very many of them, but I've got two recommendations here. So the first one is A Little Princess. Does this actually scream autumn? I don't know, but I feel like anytime's a good time to read A Little Princess. This is a story about a girl named Sarah who she goes to boarding school because her dad is going off tour, I think. Or is he going to, I don't remember. I've watched the movie a ton of times, and there's a few details from the movie and the book that are different, and so I sometimes get them a little confused. But she starts out as this really rich girl in boarding school, and something happens and she ends up penniless, and she kind of ends up being a servant. And the way Sarah Crew, the way she treats people, it doesn't change. When she's rich, she's still kind to the servant, and when she's poor, she's still kind to everyone. So I really like that. So this would be a classic I would highly recommend if you have not read it yet. And if you have, maybe reread it, because I'm kind of tempted to. Then, Frankenstein. Okay, speaking of books I had to read in university, this is one of them. I don't remember, this was probably the same class where I read Sunshine Sketches of a Little Town. So I don't remember much. I had to read 12 novels for that English class, and it was only a 6-week course, and I was working full-time, and I was running a side photography business, and I'd been married for like 6 months. So I just had like a lot of things going on, and I don't remember much of anything. So I would like to reread Frankenstein sometime to see what I actually think of it. Then I have 3 classics actually on my like want to read this fall list. We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I'm still looking for my own copy, but I got one from the library. Yeah, so I think this is her kind of like regular gothic horror that she writes in her short stories, but this is an actual novel, so I would really like to get to this one. Then I'm going to be continuing with my read through of Anne, and I'm on to book 4. So this is Anne of Windy Poplars. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to read this one for the readathon. It is 330 pages, and I like to slowly read through Anne. I mean, I could read this over the course of the 7 days and read a couple chapters every night. That might work, but I might just like choose to read this over the month of October instead. But this is an option. And then my other option is Shirley by Charlotte Bronte, and Charlotte Bronte also wrote Jane Eyre, which was not my favorite. So I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about Shirley, but trying to read more classics, trying to try more classics and actually finish them. So this is an option. Okay, and then my last prompt is autumn vibes. So it could be autumn vibes on the cover, it could be like autumn vibes in the story, in the genre. Just take this as you want. So for this one here, I've got a suggestion of Fragments of Fear. I feel like the colors on the cover scream autumn. So this one is one of my favorite Carrie Stewart Parks books. So she writes a suspense where the main character is generally some kind of forensic artist, because that's what she was. I don't know if she still is, or she was prior to being an author. And in this one, oh, this one has so many threads. So we follow a lady named Evelyn McTavish, and her world came crashing down with the suicide of her fiance. But then right at the beginning of the book, she's like at the burial for her fiance, and someone comes up and says that she's actually also was engaged to the fiance or something, and is pregnant with his child. And then also that, I think that same day, maybe the next day, someone phones and says, we found your dog, and if you don't pick him up, we're gonna put him down. And she's like, I don't have a dog. And they're like, well, he's got a chip embedded in him and it says your name on it and stuff. So like there's just all these things going on, and yeah, mystery going on amongst that. I don't want to tell too much, but the stuff I did say was like all within the first like 15, maybe 20 pages. Then one I recently read, I think at the beginning of this month, is Lockwood & Co. I just barely picked this book up from Holly. I don't want to take the sticker off yet. This is, so many of you guys actually recommended this to me. This is, I guess, a fantasy story, maybe like YA, middle grade, upper middle grade, I'm not sure, where London has had a surge of ghosts, I guess. And our main character, whose name, Lucy Carlyle, she signs up for this company, Lockwood & Co., and they are like ghost hunters because only younger people can see ghosts. And it was kind of like out of my element because it was very different, but it felt very much like Ghostbusters, and I really enjoyed this one. So I would recommend checking that one out. It is part of a series. I don't know if I plan on continuing with the series, but I enjoyed the first one. And then I've got 2 books here, 2 very different books that I would like to read this fall. The first one is The Pawn. Okay, Becca from Hicks Picks Books has been telling me for so long that I need to read this book, and I just barely read Legion, which she also told me a million times to read. So I feel like, and I love that one, so I feel like I really need to start listening to Becca, and this one has to get read in October. I really don't know anything about this. It's Patrick, I really gotta figure out how to say his name. Bowers? I don't know. Thriller. Yeah, so I think it's like a suspense thriller book, which sounds perfect for October. And I don't really know much about it, so... Right, Special Agent Patrick never met a killer he couldn't catch until now. And this is part of a series, so I just need to start reading it already. And then the last one. I just felt like this had autumn vibes on it. This is the Hijacked Moon, the Case of the Hijacked Moon. And this is supposed to be Jeffrey Weston, grandnephew of the great Holmes himself and the world's greatest Christian detective, is hired by a neo-Nazi to find a terrifying assassin. I don't know if this book is gonna be really good or like really cringy, but it's super small and 170 pages. This seems like a really good size for a readathon, so this one will probably be the one I pick up for that. Okay, so there are the prompts and book suggestions, books I might be picking up. Wait for my like October TBR to see all the books I'm going to be trying to read in October. I'm definitely not going to get to all of them, I already know this. And then during the week of the readathon, I'm going to be filming a reading vlog sharing what I all read and my thoughts and stuff. And yeah, so if you want to join the readathon and be entered into the giveaway, I'll have all the information in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys.